Mary floats from space to space while confined to the porch of her family home. Mary declares, "I was here." Mary shrinks and expands as she bumps up against the corners of her reality. A feverish and compassionate expression of artist, female, girl, woman, writer, Mary has all the feelings. Alone and in the porch, poring over her painting practice while navigating the politics of space, Mary comes to the startling realization that she is Mother Ireland, a confabulation of life. She is a fecundity of existence. Her fierce voice scrambles and scratches to be heard. She exists as a complex personhood in many, many forms. Mary's voice echoes and floats lightly around the white walls of a gallery space. Mary is the squiggle of a line that moves from one point to another within the frame. Mary likes to reach up high and graze her fingertips off the ceiling. Mary likes to spread her legs and envelop every feeling. Mary is here to stretch every curve on her back. If she did not exist, the world would keep on spinning, but she does. A Dodon's Roman a couple of years too late, a homecoming when she's never left home, a coastal Roman in denial, a neurosis. WW is a work of autofiction that spins out into the space of the world.
Time. Where I time. Where the big T bears on my back. Where I am. I remember the time when I wrote down all the lyrics I could think of that mentioned James Dean. I made a poem out of it. Then I swapped them out for Roy Keane because, what else should I do with time? Not that, no, probably not that. That's probably what one would call a waste of time. But it is time, it is not of time. I'm there, then and now, look at how I dance through the words on the page. Where am I now? Now or now? I'm still perhaps in the conjoining of that last W, the little pointy part. I'm on the precipice. I could go forward, I could go back. I could roll in between these two shoulders forever. It's gotta be cool like Roy Keane. Heaven forbid it, I don't end up like Roy Keane. Roy Keane, so hungry and so lean. In Delaware, when I was younger, I would live the life obscene. In the spring, I had great hunger. I was Brando, I was keen. Old Brando and me loved Roy Keane. Still looking for that blue jean, baby queen, prettiest girl I've ever seen. See her shake on the movie screen, Roy Keane. Keano. Sometimes I think about Roy Keane, Sammy Cook and my teenage queen, and living in a fantasy, and love at Roy Keane. If you will be my king, Keano, I will be your queen. Has anyone ever said that you look like Roy Keane? You got that Roy Keane daydream look in your eyes. I had a dream that Roy Keane was alive and well today, looking for the quiet life and working for Irish Rail. But that's not how it used to be, when the jester sang for the king and queen, and a coat barred from Roy Keane, and a voice that came from you and me. You think you're a new kind of Roy Keane. I was doing Roy Keane, driving around like I was Roy Keane, making all the guys in the corner turn green, and up in Mulholland where I made the scene. Like the one that took little Roy Keane. It reminds me of this painting I think I've often seen. The king's behind the counter, serving coffee to Roy Keane. The American dream. That super cool cat, that really cool cat, Roy Keane. It was like Roy Keane for sure. You're so fresh to death and sick as cancer. Susie was sure she had cancer. I was sure I was Roy Keane. Amy, I may not be Roy Keane. Amy, I may not be 19. Roy Keane in the rain, was that or it's not the same? Just speeding away, thought she was Roy Keane for a day. You're my Roy Keane. You make me feel like I'm 17. Tragically beautiful, I felt it in the soul, but fucking way to go, Roy Keane. Marlon Brando, Roy Keane, on the cover of a magazine, is the happiest I've ever been, and I'll say I no longer feel I have to be Roy Keane. Beat time. 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 Beat time, beat time, beat time, beat time, beat time.
Girl paints on the floor in the glass porch. Sound of headphones faintly distinguishable. Beautiful Boy by John Lennon.
Why did I refer to myself as girl there? This was last summer. I was 25. 25 surely means I'm a woman, right? Google tells me that while different countries have different laws, 18 years of age is considered to be when you become an adult.
Woman paints on the floor.
I don't think I've ever described myself as a woman before, unless I've had to tick a box on a form. And as a rule, I try to avoid ticking boxes on forms where possible. Usually these forms make you say female, not woman anyway. I imagine a woman to be a much curvier thing than me, a thing with breasts and children. Female seems to take a different form in my imagination. When I say female, ticking the box to simply say, yes, I am a little soft. When I tick the box to say female on a form, it is marked to say, yes, I am a little soft and somehow still here. Let's take this from the start.
Female paints on the floor.
I guess I should explain why I'm on the floor painting in the porch. Well, not so much why I'm on the floor, as I'm quite often on the floor when I'm painting. That's not really what I want to explain, but now I feel as though some kind of explanation for that too.
Female gets to her feet, stands and stares at the wet canvas with a reproachful look.
I don't really like talking about my process though, because sometimes, a lot of the time, I don't know what I'm doing until I've done it, and that makes me feel like a bad artist. I really struggle with the label artist. I would navigate it in college by saying I was studying fine art. I wasn't claiming anything, I was just stating the facts. I wasn't getting too big for my boots, I was studying fine art. People would often think I'd said finance and say things with quite a surprising accusatory tone like, you must be good at maths. And even though I knew where the confusion lay, I would just say, actually, you don't need them. I'll walk away, just to add to the confusion. Because I enjoy that sort of thing, I really do.
Artist picks up canvas and props it against the window. Squatting, the artist stares deeply at the work in progress.
And I also really enjoy working flat on the floor. Usually because I work but quite big and splay my body out and lie prostrate. I can get real close to the canvas and make marks with pointed precision, or I can stand up and let the paint pour and spill down below. Artists though, like real artists, say things like, it's all there in the painting, stop talking to me. But you can't get away with that anymore. I'm always explaining myself and ticking boxes on forms, wearing the shoes of an emerging artist. Writing these shitty 100-word artist statements doesn't make me feel like a real artist though. I'm just reminded that when I talk about my work, I still use all the phrases that an ArtNet article by Ben Davis told us to ditch way back in 2015. Pretty much all I do is explore, investigate, interrogate, and other vague verbs.
Artist continues to squat with a confused look.
Anyway, I was in the middle of explaining things. Why I'm on the porch floor of my family home. Because of this lockdown and I had to leave my studio in March. We don't have any visitors at the moment, so my mother let me lock the front door, forcing us all to use the back door as the only entrance. And I work within the 1.5 by 2.5 metre porch. It's the best light I've ever had in the studio. I'm working in a glass box in the height of summer. However, I'm out here now in the dark.
Artist takes the painting, places it on the floor, lies on their belly and begins to draw intricate lines on the canvas that follow the outline of forms and marks.
I'm out here in the dark because I was motivated by the John Lennon film Nowhere Boy. I went straight to the porch to just get on with things. It was one of those artistic genius films that left you feeling beautifully motivated and invigorated, and it's almost a call to arms. A call to arms, that rousing point in the conversation when you look around in awe and wonder why the Arts Council hasn't recognised all of this genius. And you begin to think conspiratorially now that something nefarious must be at play. Because here it is. Here's the real thing. My God, how can you not see it as it sparkles in front of you? It flashes in our very eyes. Give us the keys to the castle. Oh, we would have such fun. We would do things so differently. Oh, but no, things here are always grey and in the mud. And but of course, us Irish are not prone to any bouts of great passion or change, still reading and recovering from the passionate fancies of the youth 100 years prior. Now we must resign our fate to the middle-aged men who will hold power until we decide we are quite invigorated enough again to steal it right back. Yes, yes, I cry into my pint. Fianna Gael and Fianna Fáil are landlord parties with landlord interests. Of course, I don't actually drink pints. My tummy is too small and timid, but I am invoking a national spirit here, and sipping on Merlot or draining an obnoxious G&T glass doesn't quite evoke the same image that is being conjured in my head as I sit, surrounded by these fantastic ingenues. These rebels. Yes, fuck RT and what they did to our parents. And when will De Valera pay for his sins, I ask you? I'm troubling myself with my religious symbolism here, and I can see how these things get muddled up.
Female artist is working in the home.
Yes, I was invigorated, but there was something else that had me working in a frenzy. Yes, it was one of those artistic genius films that left you feeling beautifully motivated and invigorated, and is almost a call to arms, but also left you disgusted at yourself for having taken precious time away from your own practice to watch the goddamn thing and be inspired in the first place. If I was an artist, like a proper one that they made films about, I would just be inspired. Artists live and breathe their work, and they always know what they're doing and what they stand for, and they never back down. And if someone is that obsessive over something, you bloody well better get out of their way, because what happens when you put yourself in the firing line is just you're too bad. Watch yourself, artist at work. No, you can't use the front door anymore. Mary's in there painting. We don't like artists to be personable. We like them godly and otherworldly. Don't look us in the eye, artists. That's right, turn your head and don't meet the camera's gaze. We'll worship your text, not your icon. Let us dream of another world. All we need is a wink and a nod, a flutter and a wag, to dip and to duck, to whistle and grin, to twirl the world around our fingers spectacularly.
Artist kneels at the foot of the canvas.
There we go, I signal and sing, bend and genuflect. Kiss hands and kneel, whistling while I work.
Artist is squat and painting with mouth pinned from ear to ear and palms outstretched in forgiveness.
It is here, now, then, in this gesture, that I think to myself, this is how and when I rang the bell. This is what I cut my teeth on. Listen up, lads. Listen up, lads. He would take the bread and hold it above his head. On the one hand, the physical, on the other, the performed. George Méliès holds the bread over his head and says, Ceci n'est pas une champagne. One aisle full of Poussinus, and on the other, the Lumiere brothers and the Rubenists. Lee Krasner, Joan Mitchell, and Elaine de Kooning sit behind me, winking and laughing and swilling the wine. Van Gogh scrunches up a bulletin and bucks at Paul Gauguin. Brian O'Doherty falls about laughing. Méliès held the bread. I rang the bell. It didn't look like bread, but that was okay, because he told us this was James D. Roy Keane, Jesus Christ. This was his body. And then I'd ring the bell with a clatter. I'd lean down and put my hand to the floor to pick up this tree bell instrument, and I'd give it a clatter, a wink and a nod, be law buckets buckle erhin. There was a hand and a word between them. They got engaged. Two things fused into one.
Artist passes out from paint fumes. Morning, she awakes and begins to paint a grid.
Beat, time. Beat, time. Beat, time. I speak now in the name of the grid. The grid be with you.
Artist begins a blind drawing of the hedgerows outside. Carefully, she tracks their outline.
The grid is the junction of the sacred, Kino, and the secular, Jimmy D. The grid is a window you can look out and look in, a viewfinder. Either way, pop yourself down and enjoy the view. The grid is a Greek cross. The grid is merely a mark to map a canvas. The grid is a junction, a point of dualism, the point where the real and the fantastical fuck and make a baby. The grid is the tiny box we live in. The grid is a large expanse of possibility. The grid is inescapable. It is the landscape of our lives. I could straddle that x-axis and slide down that white pole forever, and I just might have to because there's nowhere else to go. Bare bones, bare back, bare. The grid is the structure for storytelling. There is no other device. Scratch your back off the hard edges, take comfort. Every time we wobble out, we are scooped into a new form, wrapped up in language, swaddled in identities and drowned in dress. The grid is but an analogy. Yes, we are mapping a mark on the canvas, and that mark is indexing our presence, our time, our consciousness. We are following the line out with our eyes, tracing and trailing into a world of possibilities. But once we begin to cross the lines, we are not marking presence. We are setting down sticks and building flags. We are putting up borders and urinating on fences. We're boxing ourselves in. But take courage, have heart, because the box is filled with contradictions. I wonder perhaps if our greatest tragedy is that we live in a world with an X and a Y axis, and in between these two straight lines, we twisted little helix-shaped freaks move randomly. Nothing singular about us. Oh, the box is big and scary, and so sometimes we create little boxes in the big boxes. And that's okay, It's nice to be close enough to lick things. I'm always saying that. My tongue is always saying that. It's so nice to be close enough to lick things. We are the licks within the lip. But sometimes we end up shoving bits of ourselves in tiny little boxes for hundreds of years, and we have to have a referendum to tick a box to see if we will let ourselves out again. Because the greatest apostles, the greatest disciples, who are so zealous they spend hours and hours painting them and plotting them and mapping the plane. Back in the pub now, in the land of the wink and the nod, and the old fella at the bar turns to me and says, "Do you think Keane's centrifugal or centripetal on the field?" And just when I'm about to curse his within the frame attitude, he doubles down on it by saying something like, "Nice legs, young one," or "You could distract them with your tits," or hey, what's the rush, walk slower," or "So come on, when are you and me gonna shift?" Or "You're stuck up, bitch," or Chica, where you going?" Or "Babe, come back, why you scared?" Or nudges his friends, looks me up and down and says, "Oh, I like this. Yeah, I like this." Or "I've never kissed an Irish girl before. Go on, please. Come on, please." Or "Have you ever scraped a fetus from your womb? Have I made you uncomfortable?" Or "I heard you were walking around Cork City in a miniskirt." Or "Oh yeah, I bet you like morning sex." Or "I'd like to see you up there modelling the bikinis." Or "That's sexy the way you down your drink." Or just looks at me with big, lusty wolf eyes, and I have to hide, because if he swallows my image, my soul will fall out on the floor. Splat. And I'll be scooped up and plotted somewhere else on the grid before too long.
Artist looks at the canvas and pours white paint on top. Frustrated, she begins again. Female artist yawns, she is oh so very tired.
Beat, time. Beat, time. Beat, time. Beat, time. Beat, time. Beat, time. Beat, time.
The sun is shining in the glass windows of the porch. Artist is beginning the painting of a forest.
My mom said when she was in school, the nun would slap her on the knuckles with a ruler because her W's were not pointy. Her W's were round at the bottom like two saggy boobs. The nun insisted on pointy witches' teats. Her father went into school to give out to the nun and it stopped happening. Mom was very proud of this story and she would tell it to me when she was helping me with my handwriting exercises in primary school. She told the story more than once. It was only later that I realised the significance of her father going into the school was because he was away working in England most of her childhood. At the time I just remember wondering why she was unable to make her W's pointier. I love to write. I don't know if it's fun like I'm sitting down laughing my head off fun or anything like that. I mean, if I wanted to have proper fun I probably wouldn't be alone. So okay, yeah, Grandmom, I don't write for fun either, so. But it is glorious. It does feel a bit like this is the closest thing I'll get to being everyone in the world. And God too, sure why not?
Writer takes a breath, looks upwards and then inwards.
How can you be God? Aren't you just equating two things that aren't similar to further your own agenda?
They did it in the Constitution. They used acrobatic trickery to flip around mother and woman interchangeably, that dastardly dev.
That dastardly dev, that dastardly dev. I should have known.
Yes, well, it worked. You said so yourself, a woman is a thing with breasts and children. Mother Ireland lets her skirt sit high on her thighs and waits.